So,
Sure.
home for you was in India?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure
Yeah.
is mine.
Yeah.
Yes, my home country back then, anyway, is India. I think I
Yeah.
have to say that I've lived in Australia more than I lived in India.
Okay.
So yeah, I can't really say which one is home country. It's this. This is what happens with
Yeah.
migrants. You don't know which one to call your home country, but I love both places for that matter. So, yeah, I mean, like any other most migrants, I came to Australia as a student,
Yeah.
and I pursued my graduation. And then I looked for jobs, and here I am, 23, 24, 5 years later. I even lost the count. I mean, how long I was here. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think 2005, I think, is when, from my
I
research,
finished in
maybe.
2005, my
Yeah.
post graduation, so I
Yeah.
was in 2003. So, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Let's go back to India for a bit, though, because I'm
Yeah.
interested in what you were like as a child. And what were you dreaming of, your kind of life aspiration? What did you want to do with your career?
Yeah. So, as a child, I'm a troublemaker.
Okay, that's good to hear. Yeah.
Um, so I'm hyperactive. I could not stay in one place. Just like any other child, I guess I'm more curious and desire to learn and need to know everything, sort of thing. If you ask me why technology, I'll tell you it's sort of a funny thing. Like back in India, those days, not maybe not necessarily now. People will ask you, oh, by the way, so what do you want to become? An engineer or a doctor? As if there is only two things in the entire world, right?
Yeah.
So you would choose between either an engineer or a doctor.
Yeah.
Initially, I wanted to become a doctor as a child. And then growing up, because of my attitude of not being able to sit in one place and do stuff and hyperactive and no calm, my mom suggested me, oh, based on your drawing capabilities, I think probably it's better you go into engineering, not
Right.
because you can't draw those lab diagrams and there's so many things that you have to
Yeah.
do, and it doesn't suit your character anyway.
Yeah, right.
So you just do your engineering. So that's how I fell in technology. And since then, 24 years passed. It's always been technology. I lived and breathed in technology day in and day out. Yeah.
Well, can you remember the moment when you first did something in technology and you thought, wow, this is exactly, I found my place?
Not necessarily, as I said. So I also have to say my background is also from South India. So why am I saying that is if you compare to, it's like India is so many different parts.
Yeah.
Every state is different on its own, like as if it's a different country on its own.
Yeah.
Right? If you compare the statistics, South India especially considers not technology. Education is the only way or the best way for you to progress and be successful in your life.
Okay.
So it's education. So
Yeah.
you would think your plan is already set by the time you're born. Either you'll become an engineer or a doctor.
Yeah.
So you either go into medicine or you go into engineering, and then from there you know what to do next. It's like that. There is no specific moment, but I
Yeah.
do know in whatever field I'm going to choose, I do know that I'm going to ace it purely because I like to enjoy whatever I'm doing.
Yeah.
If I'm not enjoying it, I won't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm.
So what do you enjoy about technology?
I do enjoy the part of someone give you a task and then you be able to solve it and then show it and it works right in front of you and it works. So there's an
okay.
answer right in front of you. You're not searching for it anymore. So
Yeah, got it.
yeah.
Okay, so you like the kind of problem solving, the solution, the kind of work through the outcome. So I saw that you studied computer science at is it Jawaharlal
Yeah,
University?
it's a university. Yeah.
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 Were you a good student?
So if I'm a good student, I can't really remember anything now because as I said, I'm not a good student. No, I'm a troublemaker all the
Yeah.
time. It's
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
but not as much trouble as in drugs or anything because we never had any sort of chance to do that. I don't know if I have had that. I'll probably try. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just never had the chance
Yeah.
back
Okay.
in India.
So it was just more mischievous fun.
Mischievous
That's
fun.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just doesn't sit and do my own. I just ask other people what's happening, and then and the lecturer or the instructor ask me, oh, don't do that, or if they give me any sort of pain, and then I'll start asking so many questions that they'll think like, I'm not going to ask any question to Leela. I'll just let her be.
Yeah. So I think from what I saw, you graduated in 2002. And then, as you said earlier, you moved to Australia like a year later.
Yeah.
What kind of stimulated that move?
It's not exactly a year later. It's pretty much on the same year because we finished in 2002. I think about in October, November or something like that. Yep. And I started my post-graduation in January 2003. So it's hardly any time. It looks like there is a difference in the number in the year as in 2002, 2003. But yeah, it's as I said, it's usually you do your graduation, you do your post-graduation, you get a job. It's a general logical structure that you would have planned already ahead for you.
Yep. But for yourself, you came to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So kind of what was the moment when you kind of thought, right, well, I'm going to finish my degree and then I'm going to move overseas?
Yeah. I'll tell you why. I can't tell you why Melbourne, but I can tell you why Australia. I did not want to go to US because from entire southeast, south coast to west coast, my entire family is spread. So I don't want to be in the same place as, again, India and US. And why am I saying that is because I'm a younger child, and with Indian community, they tend to protect the child a lot, which is good, in a good way, definitely. But then what that means is, you're not on your own. Someone will be protecting you all the time. So you're not in uncomfortable zone ever. So I want to be in there because so that I can learn, I can do stuff by myself, not someone doing it for me and just spoon feeding me. So I wanted to come to a country where I don't know anyone actually. I literally know no one when I came to Australia.
So that's really interesting. So I've got a bunch of questions here. So did you had you been to Melbourne before you moved here?
No.
Right, so you just applied for university, got the place, got on a plane.
That's it.
Wow, so what was your first impression when you got to Melbourne?
So daylight savings is the first and foreign concept for me at the time.
Yeah.
And someone told me it was 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the night, and I'm like, are you joking? There's so much sun there. Usually that will be like around 3:30 or 4 or 5 at the max in India. And I thought they're actually lying until I saw the time, and I'm like, oh yes, it is actually 8 o'clock and there's so much sun outside. How is this even possible, right? So yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just some of those kind of subtle differences with how those things worked as well. Yeah. And how did your family feel about you? Because you said it's a very protective culture.
Yeah.
And then you've moved somewhere where there's none of that family support network.
Yeah.
So how did they kind of take the news?
Well, they do know that I'm that sort of person who wants to just try and do something completely different. Yeah. And they do know that most of the times I'm successful anyway. But then there is a communication channel all the time. What am I doing? How am I going? So I think they're sort of quite comfortable in that way that if need be, they can come and they can ask other people or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you ever get homesick?
Can't remember, actually.
Yeah. Did you at the start?
No.
No?
No.
You enjoyed the independence too much?
Yeah, I think that was the case. But then slowly that I learned that I have to do everything by myself, whereas in India, back at home, everything will be done for you. I don't have to do anything. I literally don't even move my glass of water from here to there. There will be someone else to do it. Yeah. And then when I found out that I have to do everything by my own, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why do you do this to yourself?
So how did you come to terms with that?
I'm just way too young and dynamic, and nothing actually bothers you. The only thing that you see is what you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. Nothing else bothers you. And when people ask me a question like this, and I wonder, like, exactly, why did this not bother me at the time? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could advise someone that was thinking about making the move that you made, and they were kind of in India today and they're considering that move and maybe a bit nervous about that decision, what advice would you give them?
There is absolutely nothing to be nervous about. Yeah. There is always, the system here is also that, you can reach out to your people, friends in the uni, and there's a really good network here, and there's communities here if you're really worried about the language that you may not be able to speak. I think just go get and chase your dream. There's absolutely nothing to be worried about. What happens at the max? You'll die, right? so big deal. Just
Yeah. Look, I think it's interesting as well that you kind of ended up in Melbourne as well, because it's a very diverse city.
Yes.
Very multicultural with lots of migrants that have followed a similar path to yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that makes it easier, because there's a lot of acceptance
Yeah.
of people are new to the place.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of learning and, let's say, probably re-establishing their own identity together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you experienced that yourself.
Oh, definitely. There is an element of people accepting me. There is also an element of non-acceptance as well. But then, as I said, it at that time it doesn't bother you because you have something in your mind and you just want to go get it. But there is a large element of acceptance, and that's the reason probably it was just easier for me. And understanding the diversity and I'm actually interested in understanding different cultures and what make people do in a different way in the same situation. If you notice, if you have a different origin, you do things differently, and someone else with a different, they do it differently. So yeah.
That's interesting because that segues quite nicely to where I was going to go next, which I saw not long after you arrived in Australia and you kind of graduated through your master's there. You joined Dimension Data.
Yep.
And I think that was working as like a network engineer.
Yes.
So there's a couple of things I was going to ask you. What did that role involve?